Christians and Bible studiers, we need to be asking better questions. Here's what I mean is oftentimes there's going to be things that come up in our life, in our church, in our own personal Bible studies, that questions that we have. And how do we go about finding the answers to those questions? Well, it seems often like I've had a lot of good discussions with people in person and on social media about issues that come up, and the question seems a little too little. And here's what I mean. One of the popular ones in the last couple of weeks, John MacArthur made some statements about women, and it got people all riled up. So the question becomes, or had become, is it okay for a female to be a pastor? I don't think that that's a bad question. That's something that we should be researching and learning about. But maybe that question is not the right question. Maybe that question's a little bit too small. So in order to answer that question, we need to ask a bigger or a better question. So maybe the question that you should be asking is, who does Scripture say are the spiritual heads of the church? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, what? Okay, you worded it differently, but why would you make a point to say you need to be asking a better question? Because first of all, the way that you ask the question is influencing how you're reading the text. Man, I've had lots of conversations with lots of people in lots of different areas of life and faith. And if you go into the Bible with a presupposition or looking for something, chances are you're going to find it, which is why there are so many conflicts, even amongst Christians, on, let's say, what a Bible verse means. Instead of asking what the Bible is saying, just the way you ask the question, just the thought process that you have when you're entering into that study is going to influence how you read or interpret the text. So if the question is, should a female be a pastor, you automatically are going to have some kind of a thought on it. Maybe it's, yeah, absolutely, why not? This verse, you're going into it kind of thinking that. Maybe you're going into it thinking, no, of course females shouldn't be pastors. And so going into it and looking through the text with that in the back of your mind is going to slightly influence the way that you read the text. And that's dangerous because that's how misinterpretations happen. But if we ask a better question, if we allow ourselves to leave our emotions at the door just for our study and ask, in this particular case, who does Scripture teach us? Or what does Scripture model for us when it comes to the spiritual headship of a church, or how a church operates? Let's do a little research on that. Now, once you have the answer to that question or those bigger questions, I think the answer to those bigger questions are going to help you make an honest decision and an honest answer to the smaller questions. What I'm not going to do in this video is tell you my opinion, or the research that I've done on that particular question. I'm hoping that this will drive you to the text. But I want to challenge you from now on, when these big issues come up, and there's a lot of them, take a second, sit down, and take a step back and think to yourself, is there a better question that I could be asking? Is there a bigger question? And that question, in my opinion, should always be, what does Scripture teach us? Which is a little bit different than, is this okay? Because if we look at what Scripture models for us and what Scripture teaches us, we will have a really good foundation of whether or not something is okay or not. Hope that this has helped you guys learn to start asking better questions.